What's up everyone, this is MindBlank, welcome back to my channel, and it's been more than a year since my 2017 ultra-wide monitor roundup, 13 months to be more specific. And in this time span, a lot of things have happened in the ultra-wide monitor world, and this is why today, again, I'm going to give you my 2018 choices for the top ultra-wide monitors in 4 price categories. All in all, 2017 has been an interesting year for ultra-wide monitors. I mean, we've been getting bigger panel curvatures, higher refresh rates, better panel technologies, and even a super ultra-wide monitor, which I will not be covering at all today, since we are sticking to the now classic 21:9 aspect ratio. Let's get started. I recommend you watch the intro on ultrawides from my 2017 video, but in the last few months quite a few 35-inch monitors have also appeared in the high-end segment, which is 1 inch more than the regular 34 inches we've been seeing on big panels. Also, manufacturers have started offering bigger curves like 2000R, 1800R and even 1500R. If you're wondering what these numbers mean, they just express the radius you get when you place monitors to form a complete circle. So lower numbers will mean more aggressive curvatures. For example, 1800R means that creating a complete circle out of monitors will result in a circle with a 1.8 meters radius. That's a pretty big curvature. Refresh rates have also gone up substantially, and we now have monitors that can deliver 200Hz at 2560 by 1080 resolution and 120Hz at 3440 by 1440. Anyway, if you remember last time, I split everything in 5 price brackets. At that time, the reason for this was that there were big price gaps, and going bigger on size or refresh rate or curvature actually meant adding hundreds of dollars more between models. Good news is that there's no need in 2018 for 5, but rather 4 categories: entry, middle, high-end, and enthusiast. This is actually one of the more exciting changes, partly due to the fact that the annoying gap between $250 and $450 is now gone. There's plenty of very interesting choices in 2018 now. Don't be upset if you don't find your favorite brand or monitor, these are just my personal choices. Also, in the first 2 categories, you'll only see LG monitors, and the reasons for this are the same as last time. LG has quite a few price points on complete lockdown, with the other manufacturers absent. That being said, let's start with category 1, $150 to $250. Last year we kicked it off with the most inexpensive ultrawide out there, the 25 inches LG 25 UM56-P. This monitor has received an update in the form of the 25 UM58-P, which is still 25 inches, same IPS, but it now has a higher 75Hz refresh rate and a few more features baked in, like Super Resolution Plus, which is essentially a fancy sharpen option, 4-screen split, picture-in-picture, and is flicker-free. You still get no FreeSync at $179, but it's the least expensive ultrawide on the market. 25 inches will mean the height of this monitor is similar to that of a 19-inch 16:9 aspect ratio monitor, which might not be ideal for most of you. The second option in this price category is the same LG 29 UB55-B as last year. Sadly, not a lot of exciting new stuff at below $250, but this is still the least expensive 29-inch ultrawide out there. Curiously, it has a 6-bit plus FRC panel instead of the clean 8-bit the previous 25-inch model has, but it's an IPS panel, and at 29 inches it's plenty enough for most users. If the first category is a little lackluster, the second one, $250 to $450, has become really interesting and full of options. Another LG started off here, the 29 WK600-W, essentially replacing last year's 29 UM58-P. There are only 2 big changes here, and they don't lie with the monitor's specs. Price is the first one. At $269, it's $110 less than last year's $379 equivalent. And see, I told you it's going to get interesting. You get the same IPS but with much thinner bezels, HDR support, and FreeSync with a 48 to 75 Hz range. It's a really good option for the price, and I've actually seen it in person. It's a sleek design, perfect for office use as well. And I think the $20 difference from the 29 UB55 is worth paying for FreeSync, let alone the updated looks and features. We have a new entry compared to last year, the LG 34 UM60-P, which sits at an amazing $318 price for a 34-inch 2560 by 1080 panel. If you're in need of a bigger panel but are not bothered by the lower resolution, it's a great offer including FreeSync, kinda like the bare bones 34-incher out there. And if you're worried about the resolution, I'd say to lay your concerns to rest if you're interested in just gaming. Everything's going to look great, I promise. But if productivity is your concern and need a 3440 by 1440 ultrawide, sadly you won't find one in this price bracket at all and need to add a couple $100 more. I kept last year's LG 29 UC88-B. I've used this monitor for quite a while now and still wholeheartedly recommend it to anyone. You do pay more for the 3800R curvature this monitor has, but the picture quality is absolutely excellent. FreeSync works between 40 to 75 Hz on this 8-bit panel, and it also comes with a 50 candela per square meter brightness boost compared to all the previous 250 candela monitors. This has a history of being found at amazingly low prices on eBay, so it gets my vote for the best all-around 29-incher under $450. And my last choice here is the LG 34WK650-W, the 34-inch equivalent of the 29WK600. It is essentially the same monitor but bigger, still 2560 by 1080, so not everyone's going to appreciate the resolution at this size, but you have to give it to LG here. I mean, they have a great selection to choose from under $500. It looks similar to the 29-inch model, which I've seen in person and very much like the look of, and you still have HDR10 support at under $400, so if that matters to you, this is the ultrawide to get. In category 3, we've had a Samsung panel assault last year, you'll see what I mean in a moment, but let's talk about the only LG monitor in this category, the 34UC79G-B. This monitor has dropped tremendously in price from $699 to $478, making it an even more awesome option. This is a 34-inch IPS panel capable of 144 Hz refresh rates, FreeSync enabled and going as low as 50 FPS. This also means it's LFC capable, low frame rate compensation. It also has LG's 1 millisecond motion blur reduction, which works by strobing the backlight and thus reducing ghosting. It's not going to feel as snappy as a true 1 millisecond panel, but the effect is pretty good, although it dims the brightness a bit when enabled and also affects gamma. Next up, the crossover 34U100 is the first of many Samsung panel-powered 34-inch monitors that come with a 3440 by 1440 res, a 100Hz refresh rate backed up by FreeSync, and the same 1800R curvature. The panel powering this is the Samsung LSM340YP03, a rather good-looking VA panel if calibrated correctly. There's rumors of companies using grade A- or B+ panels in order to get into these low price brackets, and I can't speak for crossover specifically since I've never personally had the pleasure, so might want to get some more info on different forums before buying it. At $549 though, it's an amazing offer and certainly the cheapest of this Samsung powered bunch. I'm crossing out last year's Acer XZ350CU in favor of the updated ED347CKR. It uses the same Samsung panel, but compared to the XZ350 it comes with 3440 by 1440 res instead of 2560 by 1080, but it loses 44 Hz from the top 144 Hz refresh rate. This is FreeSync enabled between 48 to 100 Hz, and it's an option worth considering at $599 from Acer, which probably has a more strict quality control on the panels they put in these. I will also include the Pixio PX347C using the same Samsung panel. Specs are identical to the previous two monitors, but Pixio only states an 80 to 100 Hz FreeSync range, choosing probably to play it safe considering the issues Samsung has faced with FreeSync on some of these panels. I've included it since it can be found for a pretty nice deal sometimes, maybe even a little below the crossover. But if the Samsung VAs are not your cup of tea, then the Dell U3415W comes with an IPS display with 8-bit plus FRC, 3440 by 1440, but sadly missing any adaptive sync technology and limited to 60 Hz. It's also severely less curvy at 3800R curvature, but the LG panel in this one is the same that powers more expensive LG owned models, making it a great option for productivity at least. Finally, the Asus MX34VQ is the last Samsung panel in this category, and while the specs are mirrored from the other options presented earlier, I think it's the nicest option over here. Personally, I love its office look with the 9mm thin bezels, and there's extra features packed in here like Qi wireless charging and a pair of decent integrated Harman Kardon speakers. Maybe not the best calibration out of the box, but a very good option if you trust Asus panel quality control the most out of all these brands. Category 4. Sounds like an earthquake, and it sure will feel like it in your wallet, starting at $700 and ending at $1,100 or more. Dropping by a whole $200 from $949 to $749 in a year, the famous Samsung C34 F791, or better known on the internet as the CF791. Obviously, Samsung kept the best panels for them. This is a Super VA 3440 by 1440, 100Hz refresh rate with the biggest curvature on the market right now, 1500R. It also employs quantum dot technology in its backlight, making it a particularly good-looking panel. Vibrant, contrasty, with low light bleed, decent viewing angles, and amazing immersion. Just check out my opinion on it in the dedicated video, including the issues it has with FreeSync, like flicker and signal loss. The LG 34UC89G-B is the first G-Sync enabled monitor in my lineup, and an amazing one at that. It's practically a 34UC79G on steroids, being able of 166Hz in overclock mode. It's still an IPS panel, 3800R curvature, and uses 1 millisecond motion blur reduction, but the whole package is amazing at $800. Like with the FreeSync model, this is a 2560 by 1080 resolution, but its main purpose is gaming, where I'd find the choice of res an actual advantage, considering that 3440 is much more expensive to power. I am keeping last year's Acer Predator Z35, the first 35-inch panel in the lineup, simply because it's the fastest 2560 by 1080 monitor on the market. At 200Hz in OC mode, its 2000R AMVA panel will offer blazingly fast refresh rates if you've got the GPU horsepower. It's also one of my favorite looking monitors on the market with its powerful red accents. I do feel that it's kinda long in the tooth though, as far as technology lifetime goes, being 2 years now, so I'm guessing the next step will be 240Hz on the next iteration. The Asus ROG Strix XG35VQ, 35 inches, 100Hz AMVA panel, $799. Might look familiar, but this is not a Samsung panel, but an AU Optronics one. M350 QVR 01.1 specifically, with a pretty good response time and FreeSync support. I also very much enjoy the very aggressive look of this monitor, and if you appreciate extras like light projection and RGB, at this price point it's a really solid option. AOC has a G-Sync variant of the previous Asus monitor, same AU Optronics panel, but the Agon AG352UCG, boy that's a mouthful, will run you an extra $200 if you want Nvidia's Adaptive Sync technology. It's also a great alternative if you'd like a 35-incher without RGB lights and a more sober look. Second to last in my lineup here is the beastly, very recently updated Acer Predator X34P. Compared to last year's model, this 34-inch IPS 8-bit plus FRC panel is now capable of 120Hz in OC mode at 3440 by 1440. It also now comes with a very aggressive 1900R curvature instead of 3800R. Its 120Hz OC mode seems to be more stable than the one found on Dell's Alienware AW3418DW, and the monitor is significantly cheaper than the Asus PG348Q, which comes at a $250 premium, so it gets one of my top spots on the list. Finally, the top dog in my opinion, at least for gaming but not limited to thanks to the 10-bit panel, the Asus PG35VQ, which employs an 1800R AMVA panel and a mind-bending 200Hz refresh rate at no less than 3440 by 1440. This G-Sync ultrawide is poised to be the best of the best in gaming, although at this point in time, short of SLI 1080 Ti's, you're not getting close to 200Hz in even mildly demanding titles. There is no official price right now and release keeps being pushed back since technology isn't quite there yet, but AU Optronics, the manufacturers of this panel, have a second quarter start of manufacturing, so I'm guessing we'll see it somewhere around summer's end on shelves. So this is it, pretty big list I know, but if you feel I've missed a particularly good monitor, just leave it in the comments and I'm sure it'll get the necessary upvotes. While you're at it, don't forget to check out my Twitter, Instagram and Patreon pages if you want to become a MindBlank Tech backer, and thank you for supporting this channel by subscribing. I'll see you in the next one everybody, bye bye.